Alright, guys, we got a late start, but that's okay. Hope everybody's doing good. Thank you again. I'll pack a punch for the follow. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for joining KMS City family. We out here. We got a late start, but that's okay. Hope everybody's doing good. Thank you again. I'll pack a punch for the follow. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for joining KMS City family. We out here.
Selling digital services as an internet middleman. I know this sounds weird, but after I had success with this, I wanted to see if it would work for other people. So I released it, and this is what happened.
Awesome. So we the live feature is working there. That's great. Wait, what? So how do I not see my name? What is my name, brother? Good day, all. Hope everybody's good. Everybody is great. We are gonna be watching some YouTube videos before we get into the nitty gritty of everything. So let us see what we're gonna see on the YouTube today. Click, click. All right, let's go. It's a lot of diamond content. How to get all 14 stars in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Philly Beats You, and in our
250 game. Which 250 game?
Good morning, Mario. And
Channel, brother. This room go hard though. Alright, let's watch this new YouTuber.
Home.tv is the place to go, guys, if you're looking for some fresh new graphics for your stream. Whether you're on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook gaming, you'll find something that's a perfect fit for your channel. They offer full themed overlay packages, which are great if you're trying to give your stream a complete makeover. But let's say you're just looking to pick up some new alert graphics. Don't worry, there too. You can find single graphics such as
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is
Channel. I wasn't trying to let that happen. Alright, let's start again. Let's see how it goes. My bad on that part. That's my bad.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Precocious or Coco, whichever you would like. And in today's video, guys, I'm going to be unboxing a Nintendo Switch OLED.
Alright, so this is what the box looks like. This is the side. It lets you know everything that comes with it.
I need to review OLED.
I
Didn't get to review my original Switch, but I could at least review the OLED.
Than the original.
That's not a problem. I like the OLED though.
It has the TV mode and the handheld mode. So this is the color white.
Yeah, we can see that as white.
Wow. The screen is so much bigger.
That starts up with E and then ends with.
And the kickstand. Sit it right here. That's a really nice kickstand.
Yep,
And then
best
you
one
got
out.
your Joy-Cons in white. They
Yeah,
used
the
to have
best
like
out
the
there.
different color ones. They still have them, but it's good that it comes with the white. The white looks real classic. It kind of like reminds me of like the PS5.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really good. And you can still use your old ones. So if you have some already, you can still use it.
Okay,
So
bet.
these are those. And then
We already know about the OLED and everything, but I'm watching her. She's a new YouTuber to me, so let's check out what she up
got
to.
all the wires, the charger that goes into the wall. It's pretty long too.
All right. In the meantime, we're rolling up.
You have a Joy-Con grip to put the Joy-Cons in while you play. And the Joy-Con straps. You get two of these. The next thing we have is the dock. Now the other one that they had before was black. That I only ever seen a black one, but this is the white one. It matches nice. It has the USB ports.
Mm-hmm.
You have more the AC adapter, HDMI out there. So get into this screen if we want to hook these up on here. Wow, this screen is so big compared to
The original.
an Animal Crossing Switch. This one is the Animal Crossing one. So as you can see, I told you guys, look at the
I love Animal
kickstand.
Crossing too.
This is the small one that they had before for the original Switch. So this thing is, I mean, it might hold up, it might not. You never know. Like it's
We never
compared
know.
to this one, it's so much sturdier. It's so hard to do this. So it's so much sturdier, and it also can lean back. So if you have it like this, you can have it lower, you can have it a little bit higher. So that's one thing I really like about it. But you can see it close up, and you can place it
420 life,
down.
man. We out here again. We woke up early
This is
and we
how it looks
doing
from the
the damn
back.
thing again. We streaming.
This looks so clean.
We're streaming
It
until Bay
really
wakes up
reminds me like the
because she gonna use the
PS5
laptop
look.
to
Like
study. She says we
it
can
looks
use
so
it. Then we
clean.
done. We gonna be streaming
Like this
until
thing is nice.
tomorrow.
And I'm gonna set this up for you guys so you can see. But in the meantime, I'm gonna show you the accessories that I got to go with it. So the next thing I got
Yeah, you guys got accessories. I
is
couldn't
the
get accessories.
carrying case. It also comes with a screen protector, so that's exciting. But you know what?
Just a second.
The OLED actually comes with a screen protector inside of it, so that's also good too. Let's see. Mm,
So I'm gonna buy and
let
get
me
that screen
take this out
protector.
first.
Anybody want to sponsor me a Nintendo Switch? If you can sponsor me one right now, I'm on God. I will stream every day. If you can sponsor me an OLED Switch, we can stream every day. I ain't not lying. Anybody who does that, they will be my number one submate. friend, family, everything. If they can help me get myself an
I feel
OLED
like this is
today.
I feel like this is good because
All
it's
right,
like
guys, let's see if
extra
we can get
protection
some donations running
with the
so we
screen
can get that
protectors.
OLED. Let's go. Let's
Okay.
go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Wait,
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get high in this place. 420 on this vibe, man. Let's
really
vibe
nice
and we
case.
vibing hard in this
It
place, fam.
matches. It has the black going
Hope
on
y'all
and the white,
doing good
just like
today,
the
guys.
Switch. So that's pretty nice. You can put some games in here. This
Put you
also
on game, man. Oh,
is a stand, like a kickstand. The wireless controller.
yeah, I definitely need me a pro controller, man, too.
And we're gonna open this up too.
Joy-Con Drift was killing us yesterday on Smash Bros, man. Smash Bros was getting. If y'all want to see that, you go watch a previous stream. I ain't go talk about it. It was annoying. I'm
Careful.
still upset. We need new Joy-Cons or a new Switch. That's what we need right now. That's the only way we can play it. Or a Pro controller. So we need one of those right now in our life. I need to make a wish
Mm.
list. Can I put my Amazon wish list here?
So
Yeah, I'm gonna put up my Amazon wish list. So anybody want to help me?
it comes with some instructions. Case. I like this case. It's so protective. And then you can probably use this for other stuff too. If you
Let me
don't
go
want to,
to
if
again.
your charger
Wish
is
list.
on, your controller is on a dock. This is nice. Wow, look at that,
Wow.
y'all. Wow. So look,
She sound like Sniper Wolf
this
going
is the
like
controller right here.
wow. I swear that's how she sounded a while ago.
It's all black.
Matte black on them.
And they got the white cover.
So it can feel official
Wow.
like a PS5 or
Now, I don't
Stadia.
think this
Stadia.
snaps on there. You have to like unscrew it and do all that stuff. Well, actually, it might. Mm. You could choose to keep it black, or you can go ahead and add this on here and make it white. These. You got your cord. Mm. Wow, this is really nice. I'm really impressed with this controller. The difference between the Joy-Con grip and the wireless charger is that this Joy-Con grip, you actually would take these Joy-Cons off and place them onto here, and
Yeah.
that's like your controller. But this is the actual, you don't have to do that. Literally, this is your controller. So I really like this one. It has a really good grip. Really cool. You could switch these out. Wow. It
Hmm.
was really this white top right there for me. Like, wow. I've never seen that. The next thing I have is some games for you all.
Hmm.
Some
Metroid
game
Dread.
ideas. Mhm.
Probably have to pick up a physical or that dude.
One hour later, 2 hours later, 3 hours later.
Can you move it along?
I'm
I'm
running
all
out
out
of
of
time
time cards.
cards.
So this is it all set up. The screen looks so good, guys.
Could you
I
move it
really wish the
along?
camera
I'm
would
all
let
out of
me
time
focus,
cards.
but it looks so good and clear. Now, if I compare it to the original Switch right here to the new OLED, now the screen is, this one to me looks so much more clear. They are on the same
And it is
brightness.
bigger,
I made
obviously.
sure I did that, but this is, and also I don't know if it's the dark mode. This one is in dark mode, it looks like, and this one has like a white background, so that might be kind of washing it out, but this
All
is
right, let's
really
set up our
nice.
Amazon
This one
wish
is
list. In the
definitely
meantime,
new.
while we're
So
watching
then if I show you guys
this
again,
YouTuber, I don't know her name,
back
but
to
I will be
back,
putting it at
you see the
the
difference
end, so we
with
can,
the
you know,
kickstand,
no,
this
Coco things. Okay,
kickstand.
Coco things is what I'm
You
going
see
to be
the
putting in
difference
the
in the
description when we're
springs.
changing.
If you can see, this one has like a
Wow, I
thinner
have the
bezel
attention span of a
with
goldfish. What
all the
was I gonna do
glitter, and
again?
this one has the
The
screen is
attention
kind of
span of a
confined
goldfish.
on
I
this
swear
right
I am
here.
terrible. What am I doing again?
Now,
I was going to.
I
I
would
was
say
going
too, like it doesn't really look too much
to.
different, but I would
Amazon
say if
URL.
you're going to be using it more of like a handheld all the time, I would definitely say you should get the OLED. But if you're just going to be using this for maybe like just TV mode, you're just using it to play games on the TV, so far they kind of look like they're going to be about the same.
Hmm.
But this one right here, this is nice. I like this a lot. It has a really good feel to it.
Alright guys, that is it. If you like this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, share this video with your people and let them know what your girl is over here doing. Bye!
All right, thank you very much. And now we're gonna watch I Justine. So we're moving to I Justine right now. All right, let's change that up right here on the stream.
Notification, message, email.
You know, they always want us to watch ads, so we're gonna watch it anyways.
Too many work apps giving you nightmares? Rest easy with ClickUp.
Grammarly helps you work more efficiently, which makes accomplishing your work goals easier than ever before. Get full sentence rewrite suggestions so you can say what you mean faster. Powered by over 1.
Hey guys, it's Justine, and in front of me is the brand new Nintendo Switch. This is the OLED version, and I'm so excited about this. So a huge thank you to Nintendo for hooking me up with one of these. This thing has gone on a journey. So over the past couple of weeks, I was back visiting my family. We rented a cabin in Maryland, so I had it shipped there. But FedEx, for whatever reason, didn't deliver it on time. I'd already left that location, but then they decided to deliver it. I was no longer there, so then I had to have the Airbnb company ship the Switch all the way back to California. So this thing has gone all across the United States over the past couple of weeks. It's
Damn,
finally here, and I could not be more excited.
you did the damn thing,
Normally,
man.
I play most of my video games over the holidays, so we're gearing up for video game season, and I can't wait for the new Animal Crossing update. It also means I may or may not be live streaming on Twitch again, so stay tuned for that. But let's open this up, check it out. Ah, so beautiful. Like, look at this. The white version looks so good. We've got our first Joy-Con controller. We've got our second Joy-Con controller. Here it is. Oh boy, this is so exciting. Like, the smile on my face, my face is hurting from smiling so much. Look at that. Look at this display. Look at this new little kickstand for the tabletop mode.
All right, so that's why.
This is a way better design than the previous version. That's for sure.
Is that R?
Continuing on, we have the
Four.
dock in the all-new white color.
P58.
This is nice. This little cutout there for your cables. This is all new too. Check this out, man. I'm so excited about this. We've even got an Ethernet cable for our local area network. And I like that the USB ports are right there on the side now. Okay, now for the real test. Feels a little bit heavier, actually. Not like significantly, but like it feels like it's got definitely some more substance and weight to it. Oh boy, it looks so good. Yeah, okay, but just for the sake of comparing, like that is a huge difference. This looks so great. Oh, you're giving me a tutorial. I didn't understand what was happening here. Okay, let me learn how to use this. How to transfer your Animal Crossing island from one Switch to another. Oh my goodness. You'll only be able to transfer your Animal Crossing island to a new Switch if both the new Switch and old Switch are present. Okay, we've got that.
Yep.
So I have a lot of setup to do.
So what's going on? Why can't I get
currently
the code that I need?
Mario Kart, Animal Crossing, and I have the island transfer tool on here. And I don't know if you guys can see up here, but you can tell already, like, there is such a color difference. This one is so much more vibrant. The screen is obviously a lot larger.
Guess we gotta wait for a bit. I'm not seeing anything come up, but I guess that's just how it goes.
That's when I played my Switch the most. I mean, I beat Zelda on a plane and I was all alone and I was like celebrating in my seat and I was so excited, and like the person next to me was just like, cool, okay, good job. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I just beat the game. And he's just like, cool, are you an adult? I'm like, yep, sure am.
Like, so they're saying adults can't have
So I've
fun?
been playing with the OLED Switch for the past couple of weeks now, and I am so obsessed. I took it on a trip recently, and using this on the airplane was so awesome. It's so hard to even explain how much better it is than the previous version. Even my friend Ed, who was a little bit suspect about getting it because he didn't think it was going to be that much of a difference, after I showed him the difference,
It really
he was
isn't
like,
much of
okay,
a
I need to get this
difference.
immediately. Like, it's honestly
It's a good upgrade,
so
but not much.
crisp, so
No
clear,
big
and having
differences.
a larger screen, especially if this is something that you do play.
Oh, come on. Why can't I get the code? I need to get in.
I mean, look at this Mario Kart gameplay. Oh my gosh, it's so smooth. It's so much smoother than the previous. That was an impeccable shot. There's also something else that I just recently ordered and they just came in, so I thought I would include it in this video. These are the controllers for Super Nintendo. We have the regular NES and, hold on, the N64 controller. What's exciting is with Nintendo Online, you can have access to so many old school games, and now you can actually play these games with the controllers that they were intended to be played on. How exciting. Like, this is so great. I can't wait to play Mario 64 using the Nintendo 64 controller. I can't wait to play Mario Kart 64. I want to play Zelda. I'm gonna play all of the things that I possibly can.
Do the damn thing, my friend. Do the damn thing.
This feels like my childhood. Oh. Why I love Nintendo 64 so much is because I felt like I was a little bit older, so I actually really understood video games so much more, and this controller is so iconic. Oh my goodness. What a controller. So I'm gonna dock my Switch, get this all synced up, and play a Nintendo 64 game on my TV in 2021. Alright, here we go. I've got my N64 controller and we're about to hop in here. Look at the, oh, what are we gonna play? Alright, let's play Mario Kart 64. This, oh my god, the sound. This is seriously taking me back to my childhood. I freaking love it. Wow. Just want to preface this by saying this is an 8K television. Okay, here we go. It's happening. This quality is impeccable.
Let's see if we can get to.
Look at those blocks! Okay, power sliding is still a thing. This is where I learned to power slide. Okay, I gotta work on my controls a little. I'm like trying to power slide in all the places that I used to when I was a child. Oh my god, I'm so bad, I'm so bad. If I don't come in first, I'm gonna be very upset.
Yeah, I would too.
No! Alright, well, I'm definitely getting the hang of it. Playing Mario Kart 64 on the actual Nintendo 64 controller, it's pretty much the coolest thing ever. Wow. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so excited to keep playing the OLED Switch. It's been so much fun, and it's almost the holiday season, which means I will actually have time for video games after this crazy tech season is over. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments below what you're most looking forward to coming out this gaming season, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!
That was a good watch. All right, it's a good watch. So let's see if we can watch another video. Then I'm gonna take a break and go to the bathroom. So, yeah.
Owned is your favorite streamer's one-stop shop for all the graphics you could need for your stream.
Hello everyone, it's SpawnPoint and welcome back to another video. And today I'm going to show you my new gaming desk setup, something that I've been building over the last 2 weeks. I'll cover everything I've added to it, including the screen, desk, all of my accessories, and this incredible gaming chair. I will also show you how I've sorted my cable management and how I've tried to keep all of the wires out of sight. Now this desk setup will not be replacing my TV setup that I use for gaming, and it won't be replacing my other desk setup that I use for working. This new one will basically just be used for gaming on the PlayStation 5 in my living room. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and don't forget to hit that like button and sub to the channel if you want to see more gaming content from me. Everything that I show you in today's video is linked in the description along with the timestamps. Okay, so this is the desk that I'm using. It's a motorized standing desk from FlexiSpot. I've gone for a full black style, so I've got the black wooden top and the black metal frame. I really like the look of this combo. Now most of the time I will be sitting at the desk as I'll only be using it for gaming, but the fact that I can set the height for both sitting and standing at a press of a button is great. So this little control panel here, this lets me set up to 4 different heights. I've got number 1 for sitting and I've got number 2 for standing. One tap on the button and it will move to that height that I've already set. Or if I want to, I can manually press the arrows to adjust it myself. The motors are pretty quiet as well, it's just a very slight whine while it's in use. Also, when it's at its standing height, it's actually very, very sturdy. Now, this is something both the FlexiSpot and the autonomous desk have in common. There's no wobble, there's no flex on these, and they feel really solid and secure. The only thing that I would like to see added to standing desks is better cable management. Some kind of trunking or tube where I can run a cable from the top down to the floor. Maybe it could be hidden inside the legs. I will show you later how I've managed to hide the cables out of sight. On my desk, I've got the PlayStation 5, and this is what I use to play probably 90% of the time now. Over the last year, I've used this a lot for games like Call of Duty, Ratchet & Clank, and Kena. I've definitely downloaded and started far more games than I should admit to, and my backlog of games is getting ridiculous now. But the game I'm most hooked on at the moment, which is free, is Warzone. It's awesome playing with mates and family a few nights a week. But I think when it comes to story-based games, I'll always prefer playing on my TV setup. There's just something about sitting on the sofa and gaming is just so chill. Now for me, the PlayStation 5 has been incredible so far. Even though I've got access to the Xbox
Gotta get
Series
these Panda
X, I just prefer
Joy-Cons on my
playing on
wish
this.
list, man.
It's
Like for
definitely been
real.
my go-to throughout 2021. And as you can see, looking at the side of the console,
I
I've
need
actually
those
added these
Joy-Cons,
black
man.
plates along with the black centerpiece, trying to keep with that matte black theme. These were from D-Brand, and I did actually do a video about these just a few months ago when they launched. Now, if you've heard of D-Brand already, you'll be aware that they very recently actually removed these plates from sale. That was due to a Sony copyright issue. But they've actually, in the last week or so, just re-added these back onto their website. So if you want to change the look of your PlayStation 5, it's really easy to do. These plates on the side, they actually just clip off and you can clip on a different colour. And sticking out the back of the PlayStation 5 is a 1TB SanDisk Extreme SSD. I use this to store my PlayStation 4 games on. And also something that you cannot see from looking at it, but I've added a 2TB SSD internally. And I use that to store my PlayStation 5 games on. Now this update went live a couple of months ago from Sony, which allows you to use that internal bay to increase the storage size of your console. So over the last few months or so, I have been trying to find a new gaming monitor for this setup, and this is one that I've landed on. And I think this could be the perfect monitor for gaming. This is the 27-inch LG GP950, and it is a beast of a monitor. I know a lot of people will probably use this monitor for PC gaming, as it's got a 144Hz screen, but it's absolutely perfect for console gaming too. It's a 4K screen that supports VRR, 120Hz and HDMI 2.1. This
Gotta
means
get
it's
the
ready for the
Yu-Gi-Oh cards
PlayStation 5
on deck
and the
as well,
Xbox
man.
Series X. It also supports AMD FreeSync
If you
and
can get
G-Sync
these
as
cards,
well
you
as
can
HDR.
open them up
But
on
it
live
is
stream.
so fast. It's got a 1 millisecond response time and an incredibly low input lag. Now I'm used to playing on the C1 LG's OLED, which is rapid, and this feels very, very similar. I don't know the exact figures as I couldn't find it on LG's website, but take it from me, this is quick. It's an IPS panel, so while sitting straight on, it looks great. The colours look vibrant and everything I've played on it looks awesome. I've been pretty spoiled with playing on the LG OLED, so the contrast on this cannot really compete, but it is not bad at all. But as there are limited dimming zones, it means that the dark scenes look kind of grey, and as soon as you go off center, which you won't really do while gaming, you can see the colours look slightly washed out. On a TV this would probably be an issue, but on a monitor it is of no concern at all. I usually fit LED strips to the back of my TVs or monitors, but the GP950, well, that comes with RGB lighting built in. You can set it to different colours if you want some nice ambient lighting. I usually have it set to white, but this is what it looks like if you go for the rainbow mode instead. Not something that I will use, but it definitely sets a nice vibe. But one thing worth mentioning is how easy it is to set this monitor up, as no tools are required at all. The screen just clips into the stand, and the stand attaches to the legs just using 2 screws that are built in. The screen can then be adjusted as you would expect, so it can be tilted, it can be moved up and down, or it can be pivoted around. So you could use it in either a portrait or a landscape mode. But yeah, this monitor has been incredible. Every game that I've played on it looks great, it's been really responsive, and I've had no issues at all so far. Now, if there's any interest and you think you would like to see a full review of this monitor, the GP950, drop that in the comments and it might be something that I do over the next few weeks. And here's the chair that I'm using. This is the Herman Miller Embody, which is in collaboration with Logitech.
I can't afford
and
that,
this
man.
is the best chair that I've ever had. It looks awesome, it's incredibly comfy, and the design and features are literally good for you. So first, when it arrives, it's actually fully assembled. You literally just roll it out of the box and you're good to go. Now, I've built enough chairs over the years to really appreciate just how useful this is and a massive time saver. I also really like the look of it. It's kind of got the perfect balance between an aesthetic office chair and a gaming chair. I've gone for the all black version here, but it's also available in blue. But what makes the embodied gaming chair special is the support that it offers your back, which, let's face it, is pretty important. So no matter how you sit in it, it provides support to your spine at the lowest point, and it's actually supposed to mimic the same posture that you get from standing. It not only supports your back, but it will also adjust your own shape so it feels a little bit more natural. Now you'll notice it's got no hard frame, so if you look around the top, around the edges, there's no frame here like you'd normally see in a chair. It means that when you move and you turn, the whole chair kind of flexes with you.
Yes, we need the Egyptian god cards, of course. You know, we got to get the Egyptian god cards.
It's actually got a cooling foam to prevent heat
can't
buildup.
be out here
Plus
without
it
the
feels
Egyptian
really
god
soft
cards.
yet firm. It makes you kind of want to sit properly. You can adjust the back fit to work with the curvature of your spine. The seat depth can be adjusted so you have space under your legs. There's a lever on the side to change the seat height, and finally the arms can be moved, both in height and width. Personally, I think this is the nicest looking gaming chair that you can buy. Now obviously the other Herman Miller chairs are probably, from an aesthetic point of view, nicer looking, but the Embody Logitech G definitely offers that perfect combination. But this chair is not cheap. It's actually £1,275 or $1,595.
Exactly
But it will
like
be the
that.
last gaming chair that I'm going to need for a very, very long time. It also comes with a 12-year warranty for both parts and labour. That's huge. This chair will probably outlive everything else on my setup. Now I might actually do a dedicated video or a review about this chair maybe in a few weeks or a few months or so. Under the chair I'm using one of these floor mats, so it's a hard plastic mat rather than a soft flexi one. This means it doesn't move or bend much when I'm using it. It also means that it's a lot easier to move the chair around instead of using it on the carpet. When it comes to the accessories around my desk, I don't have many as I've tried to keep it pretty minimal. Plus, as I don't work from here, I don't really need much on display. I've got a black DualSense controller. Now this is the official Sony one that they released a few months back, and it's sitting in a walnut wooden stand from Geek Made Designs. I've got a few of their items around the house, including the wooden PlayStation icons and some other controller stands. And here's the headset that I'm using. These are the SteelSeries 7Ps, and I've been massively impressed with these. Having used about 3 different headsets over the last year on the PlayStation 5, these have definitely been the best that I've used so far. They do need a USB dongle plugging into the front of the PlayStation 5, but it's pretty small and you don't really notice it. And they are sitting on a wooden headset stand from Grovemade, and this matches nicely with that walnut controller stand. Here's a felt desk pad that I've also got from Grovemade. Now I don't really need a mat as I'm not using a keyboard and mouse, but I think it breaks the large black top up and adds a nice little bit of contrast. It's also somewhere where I can put my drinks and other things without scratching or leaving marks. Now, I've not got around to setting this up yet, but I've also got one of these Elgato 4K 60S Plus capture cards. It will let me capture gameplay up to 4K 60 on both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. I can then edit and upload those to my YouTube gaming channel. At the moment, I upload my gameplay footage straight from the console, so it will be interesting to see if this adds any extra quality to those videos. Next to my desk, I've got this floor standing lamp from IKEA. I've had it for about 5 years, but they do still sell it. Inside the lamp, I'm using a LifeX bulb, and it means I can actually change the colour depending on the mood that I want to set. Most of the time it's set to a nice clean white, but if I want to change it up to a purple or a blue, I can do so using my phone or my voice.
Notifications, messages, email.
And this is my shelving, so if you've seen my living room setup tour that I did a few months ago, you would have seen all of this already. But it's got random items on it like my PlayStation merch, controllers, N64 complete with GoldenEye. Then at the bottom I've got the Xbox Series S and Series X. I don't really need both, but what I'll probably do is I'll get my children to use the Series S while I can use the Series X. One thing that I always try to keep on top of with my setups is cable management. I've said it before, but I hate seeing cables on display. With a standing desk, it's not quite as easy as any cables you attach to the side of the legs need to be able to move when the table goes up and down. So instead of running all of the power cables from the PlayStation 5 and the monitor down to the floor, I've actually fitted a power socket under the desk itself. It now means I can actually swap the plugs out, and anything I wish to add or remove is going to be a lot easier and a lot quicker this way. Then to try and keep all the cables and all the wires out of sight, I've actually used some of these small clips I bought from Amazon. So these little clips, they open up and they allow you to obviously slide the cables in, and then you can clip them closed. So what I've done is I've taken these clips and I've stuck them to the bottom of the table as well as on the legs themselves. It now means I can run all of the cables through them. I actually used to use tape or cable ties, but this works a lot better and is a lot neater too. Now when looking at the desk, you cannot see any cables and it looks really clean. Now even when the desk moves up and down, you can't really see many cables. I just wish the monitor had a better cable management solution built in, just like with the LG Ergo arms. That does a great job of hiding the cables, and it means you don't have any loose cables behind. But this strange obsession that I have with hiding cables, it probably won't be an issue for you, but hopefully this little tip of using these clips will definitely be useful for your own setup. In terms of future plans for this setup, I don't really have any. I set out to create something simple and easy to maintain, and somewhere that I could game from if I wanted to free up the TV for my family. I don't need any speakers or anything else that I would normally add to my desk setup, so I think this is probably it. It would also be nice to build a gaming PC, something clean and minimal, but although it would look great, it's probably something that I wouldn't use at all, but it could make for a cool video. So this is it. This is my gaming desk setup. Overall, I'm really happy with what I've built. It's pretty simple looking, but it's practical for me. Any ideas, suggestions, or improvements, please drop those in the comments. Well, you've just made it to the end of today's video, so thank you for watching. And if you drop a nice gaming setup in the comments, I will give you a thumbs up for staying until the end. And here's another couple of videos that you might be interested in watching next. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn notifications on. Setup in the comments, I will give you a thumbs up for staying until the end. And here's another couple of videos that you might be interested in watching next. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn notifications on so you don't miss my next upload. You can also follow me over on Instagram and Twitter. Until next time.
Okay, cool. Let's see the average gamer. Let's see what... No, I want to see what the average gamer got. Let's see what average gamer has.
Hello everyone, it's Spawn Point and welcome back.
What's going on, guys? It's your average consumer, and today we're going to be taking a closer look at the new OLED Nintendo Switch. We're going to be seeing if it's worth the cop or if it's a drop. But before we jump into the video, we have to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, BlockFi. BlockFi is a crypto platform looking to build a bridge between cryptocurrencies and traditional financial and wealth management products. And they offer what's called a BlockFi interest account that allows individuals and companies that own crypto to earn interest in crypto with that account. And of course, BlockFi allows its clients to buy or sell cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and more. Not to mention, they also offer a BlockFi rewards card, which lets you earn Bitcoin on everyday purchases. You'll be able to earn 1.5% back in Bitcoin on every single transaction, and it has no annual fee. So if you want to get started, you can earn up to $250 as a Bitcoin bonus when you buy crypto on BlockFi. And guys, this is an exclusive limited time offer, so definitely check the links down below in the description if you want to get in on it now. But now, let's get back to that OLED Switch. And right off the bat, when I unbox this thing as a daily Nintendo Switch player, I could immediately see the difference, you guys. So the new Nintendo Switch has a bigger OLED display. It's a bigger screen, smaller bezels, and you got the OLED display. What does the OLED display mean? It means you're gonna get a much better screen, a better panel, you got better colors, more contrast, darker blacks. All of that leads to a much better viewing experience. And it just feels like a device that was made in 2021. We've got an original Switch over here, and as you guys can see, it's definitely got much bigger bezels. When you use this thing on its own, it's not so bad. When you put it
Hey.
side by side with the new OLED Switch,
Hey
it is
Zoner,
a
thank you for
huge
the
difference.
host,
And
man. You know
it
what it
felt
is. We
really
out here,
good
fam,
the
watching
second I
the
unboxed this
videos. You
thing.
know we
If you're
doing
one
the
of those
do.
people
I'm
wondering,
just here in the
is
background
there
in
a
the
big
cut,
difference
trying to
between the screens?
sort out my
I'll
wish
tell you
list
right now,
for
there
Amazon. You know,
absolutely is.
gotta get that
Obviously,
Christmas
the
wish
content
list.
is a little bit larger, but because it has that
So how
big
you doing in
screen,
the
the buttons
morning?
pop
How
quite
you
a bit
doing,
more. It
Zoner?
is
What's
just a
good?
very nice viewing experience. Certain games, though, once they
I'm
get
here getting
dark,
high as fuck,
it gets
man.
really dark. So that's something you kind of have to deal with. But the overall experience on this, absolutely amazing. So yes, it is a very different experience playing on the OLED Switch compared to the original. I'm telling you guys, trust your boy on this one. It's a lot nicer. But Nintendo made some other changes with the Switch as well, one of which being the new kickstand. So as you guys can see, it is no
Kickstand's
longer
great, man.
this
I'm not gonna lie
one
about that.
random strip of plastic that's supposed to be used as, listen, I don't know what Nintendo was thinking. But this right here is a legitimate stand.
They were
Makes
thinking
it
that they could make
very,
some
very
money.
easy to just place this thing down, use it in many angles. This is how it should have been from the start. Nintendo did a really good job with this guy. It feels solid. It even feels like it's metal. Adds to the feel of quality here, but this thing is great. I wouldn't change a thing. Now, because we do have like this larger display, the Switch has expanded ever so slightly. It's a little bit wider than the standard Switch, and most people won't even notice the difference. But where this becomes an issue is if you have some accessories, maybe like some grips or something. It's not going to fit
crap.
on the OLED Switch, and if it does, it might be a little bit weird. Chances are you're gonna want to get dedicated OLED Switch accessories, especially
Yeah,
when
we
it
go
comes to like
definitely
grips and anything
accessories.
that conform to the body of the original Switch. So if you are coming from one of the original ones, that's something to keep in mind. But the slots for the Joy-Cons are pretty much the same. So if you do have third-party accessories or you have some Joy-Cons that you love from your old Switch, they'll fit on here with no problem. That part is still the same, thankfully. So even third-party Joy-Cons will work here without issue. Now, something that they've changed here that I'm not really a fan of, while using it, just trying to mess with the volume, the buttons are fine, but they were way easier to press on the original model. But the
Yeah.
original had slightly more raised
I
buttons.
wish I could do.
These
I
are a
could
little
see
bit
what's
more in
going
the
on
front,
there
so
with the
they're a
original
little bit
model.
harder to press. I like the originals quite a bit more, but the power buttons though, those are
I
pretty much
can't
the
give no
same.
feedback on
I
the
just find
OLED right now,
myself
honestly, because I
kind of
don't have
pressing
one.
in a little bit
But
more
that's just how it goes,
with
man.
the
In
volume buttons
life,
here.
we,
I wish
we everything
Nintendo
takes
kept it
time.
a little bit
So we'll
more
be
raised.
getting
But
our
with all the
OLED
physical
soon,
changes
and we'll
that
be doing
Nintendo
an
has made,
unboxing.
this pretty much feels like the original Switch when it's in your hand
We'll
and
do an
you're
unboxing
actually
on
playing. But with that
our channel.
screen and the overall experience from having a nicer display, it feels a lot more premium, especially with this like
Yeah, we gotta get
metal
that 4K
kickstand in the
on deck.
back. And for me, it's definitely felt like an upgrade compared to what I've been using. Now, something else that Nintendo has been advertising is improved speakers. And I gotta say, guys, I didn't notice a change in the sound at all. So if you're hoping that this thing has louder,
So
boomier
yeah,
sound or
first I said that.
something like that, it's not gonna be anything crazy.
Someone,
Now we're talking about
yeah, only
something
one I
pretty
said that
much
so
the
far.
same. Performance. So this is not the Nintendo Switch Pro that we were all hoping for. This is pretty much using the same internals as the original Switch. So performance-wise, what you got with the original, you're getting here. You're not gonna get better frame rates or anything like that. And I think that's why a lot of people were pretty upset when they got the news about the OLED Switch. While I think Nintendo did a really good job in terms of just the hardware and the overall experience when it comes to actually looking at the games, on the performance side of things, it's pretty much the same. So it's definitely lacking, and I understand why people would be upset. So if you've already got a Switch and you don't really care for the visual upgrades that you're getting here, chances are you probably won't care for the OLED Switch at all. Now, I'll be honest, for me personally, the games that I play, I didn't really need an upgrade in power. Everything that I enjoy playing on the Switch has run smoothly for me for the most part.
Same here.
even on the
I
original
have no
Switch.
issues,
So
man. I
the
have no
experience
issues
here
at
again
all.
pretty much the same, but I just get that better overall viewing experience, which has pretty much made the whole thing feel a lot better for me. But if you like to play games where there's a lot going on the screen at once, I think that's when you want to wait for the next iteration of the Switch, something that provides a little bit more power. Now, speaking of power, you're probably wondering about the battery life. And for the most part, battery life is also kind of the same. Certain games, of course, can take advantage of like the OLED display, especially those darker games, since with an OLED display, whenever there's black on the screen, the pixels are not being lit, so it's using less power, not consuming as much juice. So there's maybe some slight battery savings here and there, but it's a game by game basis, so you're not gonna see an overall increase in battery life on this guy. For me personally, from the games that I've been playing, it's felt exactly the same. So no real benefits in terms of battery there. Yet another reason why you might not want to upgrade. Now, the Switch isn't the only thing that got a few cosmetic changes. We've also got the new Switch dock. This is slightly different. They've got more rounded edges. We've got that white design, obviously, and there's a little bit more space where the Switch actually sits. It even has like these, what feel like kind of rubber strips. So Nintendo's been listening a bit. They made sure that the Switch doesn't get scratched up. You will notice it jiggles ever so slightly, but I can live with that as long as my screen stays intact. So not a big deal. Some changes though that they made are in the back.
Shouldn't.
The plate is now removable. Instead of it just like kind of sitting there, you can remove it. But they also added an Ethernet port. So they've added an Ethernet port so that if you want to have this thing docked up, connected to your modem, router, whatever it may be, you can go ahead and have that. So I used the Ethernet feature for the first time with this guy, and I was actually a little bit surprised. They actually cap the speed that you get from the Ethernet port.
Really?
I believe
That
the
sounds
max I could get out of it was, I think maybe 70 megabits. So you're not gonna get crazy speed or anything. It's all capped. So if you're trying to download games, it might still take a little while. It's gonna be better than Wi-Fi, of course, if you got that stable
That's not
70
fun.
or
That's
60,
not fun,
whatever it
man.
may be that
Why,
you
why,
have.
why
So
you gotta
just in
cap
case you
shit?
set yours up with an Ethernet cable, don't be surprised when you see possibly lower speeds than you get with like your laptop or something. But overall, I do like the dock. You've got the two USB ports on the side now, and I think it's fine. I don't ever use it, to be completely honest with you guys. I'm always in handheld mode, which is why the screen getting upgraded
I'm also in
is such
handheld
a
mode
big deal for
myself.
me.
Only
I
reason
always
why
play
I've
like
been
this,
in,
and so I think this
you
has the
know,
biggest impact on me. And this is just a
how
nice
should I
touch. And you
say,
might be wondering, is it
TV mode
worth
is because
upgrading at
I'm
all? Is it
streaming
worth
and I
picking
gotta
up?
put it in the
Well, if
dock
you
to
already
connect the
have a
HDMI,
Nintendo
so
Switch,
that's one
chances are
reason.
you probably
But
won't
that's just how it
need
goes.
this unless you really care about
Thanks
that
guys
visual
for coming out.
experience. Like I
Came
said,
and see
this
we
does
out
feel
here.
a bit more
I'm just in the
premium
cut,
for sure,
building
and
my
viewing
wish
things and
list.
playing games on this
So
is
you
a
guys will
much
be able
better
to see it
experience.
after the end
I'm
of the
telling you
stream
guys,
or
with the
before the
OLED
end of the
screen,
stream.
it's a night
Who
and
knows?
day
I don't know.
difference. I am
But you guys will know.
extremely happy with this version. But if I was already a Switch owner and didn't have to pick one up for work, would I upgrade?
Probably not.
Probably not. At 350 bucks, it's a pretty tall order. Maybe if I could sell my original one and
Yeah,
you know, try to
but I
make
don't
up
think.
most
I
of
wonder
that
who would want to
difference,
buy my Switch
then
right
maybe
now.
I could go ahead and pull the trigger. But unless that opportunity to sell my old Switch for most of the cost was there, I probably wouldn't upgrade. Now, do I recommend this version over the older Switch? Absolutely. It is worth the
Who
extra
wouldn't?
50 bucks to have the newer screen because it makes a huge difference. So I definitely think it's worth it if you don't already have
It makes
a
a lot
Switch.
more
But
sense
if you
if you're
do have
gonna
a Switch
go with that.
and
I
money's
swear to
not really
God.
an issue for you, have at it because I
Swear
think
to
this is an
God.
absolutely great gaming experience on the go. We've seen how different the PlayStation Vita was of the original version compared to the
Okay,
later
where's
models
the
that switched
unlocked
from
one? Where's
OLED
that
to
unlocked
like
one?
LCD displays. It's a huge difference, and the OLED will always trump it, especially when you've got like the cleaner screen here. So if you've got the money or you don't have a Switch already, I think this is a safe cop. So there you have it. My only other
It's a safe
recommendation
cop.
is if you already have a Nintendo Switch, don't play anybody's OLED version. You will be ruined. I promise you. Don't do it to yourself. Trust me. But that about wraps it
Don't
up
do
for
it.
this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I
Good
know
thing
these
say
are
I
going to be
I ain't do that because
extremely hard to
honestly
come
don't know
by,
what to
so
do.
if you can get it at the original price, kudos to you, but it's
Rough.
not going to be looking too good, especially this time of year, you guys. But if you have the opportunity,
If you guys want to
I
say
jump
rough,
on
man.
it if you want it. If you have one of these already, I'll have some of my favorite accessories linked down below in the description. I did a whole video about it. But till next video, guys, your average consumer.
Yes, sir.
Peace. Jay, would you upgrade?
No. I'm good.
There you go.
Yeah, it makes no sense to do the upgrade if you already have one. The only improvement you're getting is just a little bit. It's a little bit, not much. Alright, let's see what's going on here. What Kevin Kenson? Let's see what Kevin Kenson's saying now about
Today's video
whatever
is
that is.
sponsored
I have
by
no idea.
TP-Link. We are quickly approaching that time of year again where it's time to grab some gifts for your friends or family, or maybe you get a little spending money afterwards and you want to pick up some stuff for yourself. And one of the biggest systems right now that gets a ton of attention is the PS5. So if you just got yourself a PS5 and you're looking for cool accessories to pick up, or you know someone that's getting one, you want to get some stuff to go along with it, let's take a look at some awesome must-have accessories for the PS5 owner you know. To begin with, I want to take a look at something that's a bit of a necessity, and I don't think a lot of people always put a lot of thought into, but now, especially with the PS5 and some of its enhancements, is more important than ever, and that's the router you're using. One of the unique benefits of the PS5 right now that it has over other systems is that it's the only console right now that makes use of Wi-Fi 6. But if you want to take advantage of that, you need to also have a Wi-Fi 6 router like the Archer GX90 from TP-Link. If you're not sure what this actually means, Wi-Fi 6 is basically the newest standard of wireless connectivity that
Wi-Fi
gives a
6?
stronger, more stable, and potentially
Flipstick?
faster connection than other forms of Wi-Fi. Obviously, part of this comes down to what kind of internet you have at home, but the potential benefits that Wi-Fi 6 offers over Wi-Fi 5 when it comes to gaming on the PS5 is things like faster download speeds, more stable connections for online multiplayer, and better experiences when
Wi-Fi
streaming content, especially if you're hitting
6
those higher
router.
resolutions. I think it's also really important to note that while the PS5 can make use of Wi-Fi 6, you don't necessarily have to have every device you own support Wi-Fi 6 to get the benefits out of a Wi-Fi 6 capable router. Because the router itself supports Wi-Fi 6, this has a number of benefits outside of just what kind of speeds it can push. In particular, is number of supported devices. Basically, the more stuff you have connected to your Wi-Fi, the more you're splitting the signal up, and the more that can impact the performance of each thing individually. And Wi-Fi 6 routers are capable of handling a much higher load than an older router could. One of the things about this thing that is really nice is just the ease of setup. Usually when you set up a router, you have to rely on opening up a browser window and connecting via that way, and you can do that, but TP-Link offers their own dedicated TP-Link Tether app that is honestly really nice. It walks you through the entire setup process of the router, including the physical setup process of what order to plug things in, turning them on, all that good stuff. And once you're done with that physical setup, the app will allow you to connect directly to the router and will guide you through that entire initial setup process to make sure that you have your password set, having the name you want for your Wi-Fi, all that good stuff. What's really handy about this though is that on the Tether app, you can actually mess with the settings on the Archer remotely, including the ability to monitor what kind of activity is currently
Background
happening
music
on
go
your
hard,
Wi-Fi,
though.
but more importantly, telling it what kind of activity you want it to prioritize. So let's say you're playing a game online, well, you can tell the app, hey, focus on gaming mode right now. I don't want any other communications to really be prioritized. Make gaming the focus to give you that stable connection you need. You can also do this for streaming modes. You want to make sure that when you're streaming something in 4K that it's going to give you a nice steady signal and not going to drop resolution out of nowhere. Or even just leave it on a standard mode where it's going to give equal priority to each task that it's working on. All of this coming from TP-Link, a company that has won the JD Power Award for highest customer satisfaction wireless routers 3 out of the past 4 years, 2017, 19, and most recently 2020, rated on a variety of different things like Wi-Fi range, reliability, speed, security, price, and more. If you're interested in learning more about the router, like everything in today's video, I have a link down below in the description. And if you're interested in grabbing it, make sure to check it out on Amazon Hub, where you can order it and have it delivered to a convenient nearby Amazon locker for easy and secure pickup. Next up, I want to talk about controllers, because this is something very near and dear to my heart. I love controllers, all types of different ones you can use for systems, and sadly, right now on the PS5, your options are actually a little limited. You can use previously released PS4 controllers, but those only work while playing PS4 games. If you want to play PS5 games, your only real option right now is the DualSense, not counting more specialized controller options like fight sticks and racing wheels. As it stands right now, the DualSense comes in 3 different colors. There is the stock white and black design that comes with the system, along with a very large fan favorite blackout design, and then a cosmic red design that is probably actually a little closer to being a purple or a berry color option that is a personal favorite of mine. However, just because the DualSense is the only controller officially supported to work with PS5 games doesn't mean that there isn't a way to gain access to Pro Controller style features on the controller with maybe just a little bit of extra work. Something I did a video on earlier this year is a button mod kit. Basically what this is a company called Extreme Rate who makes a variety of different shell replacements for DualSense controllers. You can get different colors, things that aren't official that you might want to see.
Yeah.
They made a button expansion that attaches to the back of the DualSense controller. Now, it's not something quite as simple as just plugging it into the back like the DualShock 4 controller had on the PS4, but with some careful and honestly surprisingly not that difficult mod work opening the controller and taking your time, this adds a pair of remappable buttons that are easily within reach of your finger that have a very satisfying button click to them. Once set up, it's very easy to use. You can hold down the remap button and then pick which buttons you want to have mapped to each of those back paddles, and bam, you now have those additional buttons to make use of for certain games, which can be very useful, especially in first-person shooters. If you've ever focused on any FPS title, you know how important it is to keep your thumbs on both sticks as often as possible, and so being able to offload some of the front-facing buttons to back paddles for things like, say, reloading or jumping is very useful. I know this sounds really intimidating to do, but trust me, if you just take your time with it, take it slow, and carefully study the instructions, it's not that bad. Like I mentioned earlier, the same company that makes this back button expansion also just makes different shell swaps and button swaps for DualSense controllers. You can also grab those if you want, but one area that I will get a little extra warning on is if you think about changing the shoulder buttons on those. Because of the adaptive triggers in the DualSense, that's something that's just a little more temperamental about being put back together, and that is something that you're more likely to maybe slightly mess up. And even though it sounds like it would be easier, I'd actually say that disassembling and properly putting back together those shoulders is actually a little harder than adding the back button. Real quick, while we're talking about controllers, one other thing I really recommend taking a look at are charging stands. There's an official one from PlayStation, but there are other third-party ones on the market as well. Because the DualSense relies on a rechargeable battery, it does burn through it a little fast sometimes, and yes, you can plug it in directly to the system to charge up, but that's not always convenient and also just doesn't look great necessarily. If you want to have a really clean looking setup, charge stands are awesome because they give you a place to put the controller when you're not using it and get it back up to full capacity for the next time you're playing. One of the more functional upgrades that is in really high demand right now for the PS5 is internal SSD expansion for the system. Basically, when the system first launched, it didn't have any form of expandable storage aside from using external storage, which didn't support PS5 games, and we knew we were getting expandable storage sometime in the future and didn't get it until just about a month ago. The reason why this is a big deal is because the base storage on the PS5 is only 825 gigabytes, which is only 667 usable gigabytes of storage, and with how large games are getting, you kind of need more space if you don't want to be constantly juggling titles and deleting some to make room for others. So whether it's someone who's had a PS5 since launch or they're getting their first PS5 this holiday season, expandable internal storage is actually a really useful thing to do. It's not necessarily the most glamorous accessory out there, but it is very useful and a very big deal, and I would argue one of the most important upgrades you can really get for your system right now. Now, it's important to know that the PlayStation 5 does have some very serious requirements about what it needs out of any SSD that you plug into the system. It has to be a certain size, has to maintain certain speeds, and it needs to have its own heatsink to keep the SSD cool. Now, you can buy M.2 SSDs on their own and then buy a separate heatsink that you install yourselves, but there are SSDs on the market that just have that pre-installed. For instance, the one that I used in my PS5 is the WD Black SN850. This has the heatsink as part of the whole body.
I was literally just on an iPhone. How did I read so
doing
far?
Any kind of additional work. But if you know someone who is that kind of techie and you don't want to spend the extra money on buying one that has a pre-included heatsink, that is an option. While the concept of having to take apart the PS5 and install one of these might sound like a lot of work, it really actually isn't that difficult. I did do a video recently showing and walking through the whole process of doing that. Mostly boils down to remove one of the plates, unscrew the spay door, plug it in, call it a day. Again, this isn't really the flashiest thing you can grab for the PS5 owner, you know, but it is really important, and trust me, something that they will find useful. More storage equals more games. Now, going back to more traditional style accessories you can pick up, I've already talked a little bit about controllers, but the other very important thing that a lot of people pick up right away is a headset. And the headset market can be a very dizzying experience when you're looking at it the first time.
Oh my god, I can tell you that. I've been searching and I still can't find something
all making
good.
their own dedicated headsets for different gaming systems. Thankfully, if you don't want to deal with having to look at all the different options on the market, PlayStation does have their own first-party option that gets the job done excellently with the Pulse 3D. This is the official headset for the PS5 that comes in a white and black design by default, though they do have an all-black design that is also releasing this year if that is more your style. And for its price point, it is an excellent headset. I think there are arguments to be made for some of the more expensive, very fancy ones that are out there on the market, but for $100, the Pulse 3D looks great, it's comfortable, it offers great audio quality, it's designed to take advantage of some of the PS5's more unique features like 3D audio, and because it is a first-party design, its software is integrated much more into the PS5 right away, so you don't have to rely on any kind of external apps. You can do everything directly through your system itself, including things like adjusting the EQ balance in them. Now, if you're curious about other options out there that aren't first party, one of my personal favorites has got to be the SteelSeries 7P. This is their dedicated headset for the PlayStation 5 that offers a few really nice upgrades and advantages that aren't necessarily present on the Pulse. First off, just in general, I've always found SteelSeries designs to be very comfortable. It works really well with my head shape, and so that's something that I like to recommend. The headband design of it just fits really nicely and stays nice and snug. I like the ear cup shape, great audio quality. One of the more unique benefits of the headset, though, that is really awesome is that it supports the ability to do both a dedicated connection to your PS5 using a wireless dongle, while also being able to do a simultaneous Bluetooth connection. The reason why this is cool and useful is it allows you to do things like make use of third-party communication apps to play with friends if you don't want to use something that's necessarily on system board. So for example, maybe you want to be on a Discord call with friends while playing a multiplayer game online on your PS5. You can get game audio going into the headset and have a Discord call running through the headset as well via Bluetooth. Not gonna lie, I'm also just a huge fan of how this headset looks. This is the one that I personally use a lot more. I'll use the Pulse 3D every now and then. That's actually the headset I have here at the office, but at home, the Arctis is my main headset. One other thing I want to talk about as a gift option is that it's very easy to get wrapped up in things that are directly related to the system, controllers, headsets, SSD expansion, all that good stuff. But another route to go, if you think someone's already going to have all that stuff covered and they're on top of it, merch. If you or someone you know is a huge fan of PlayStation just as a brand, there is a lot of official merch out there. I mean, I'm wearing some right now during this video with this jacket that I absolutely love. And there's a lot of officially endorsed product out there that is honestly super cool looking. T-shirts, sweaters, coffee mugs, all kinds of great stuff. I'm gonna link a few different options down below to check out as well. So if you want something that's maybe not just, you know, part of the system itself, but just gives them a little way to celebrate their love for it, that's a great choice. Everything I've talked about in today's video is linked down below, so if you're interested in grabbing any of that, make sure to give it a look. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, please make sure to like it and subscribe if you haven't yet. I'd like to thank TP-Link again for sponsoring today's video.
If I decide which list is something wrong, this must be it. Oh, I want to hear his opinions about
it has been 1 year since the release of the Xbox Series X and S, along with the PlayStation 5, and I want to talk about what has changed over the past year, what exactly has been going on with these systems, and really just my own personal experience with them.
So lame. Yo. Oh, definitely, Zoner. I'm gonna be there, man. I'm gonna be there. Definitely gonna be there.
Sales-wise. Now, it's not really any huge secret that when it came to the last generation of PS4 versus Xbox One, PlayStation outsold by a very large margin, and for a while was running ahead by a whole 2-1.
Okay, bro, have a great stream, and again, thanks for the follow. I will be streaming.
Just over 13.
You're more than welcome to join. Oh, damn, bro. You know I'm gonna join you. I'm gonna give you some love right now. I'm gonna forward into the stream right now. I'm gonna go on it right now.
A lot of that has to do with the momentum coming out of last generation, the sort of brand loyalty to system.
Zoner is my G. He be hosting the nigga. He hosted me 3 times in the last 2 days, and that includes yesterday and today. So we're going in.
Still been going on. Exclusive games. If you just take a look at the list of exclusives that come out for each system, we're not necessarily paying attention to what is next-gen exclusive, but just what PlayStation has and what Xbox has. The list is pretty heavy in the PS5's favor right now. I mean, just looking at the launch alone, right? They had Spider-Man Miles Morales out, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, even Astro's Playroom I would count for this because it was such an excellent free demo you could play, and the Demon's Souls remake. And then over time, we got more games released with stuff like Returnal, Ratchet & Clank, Kena, and most recently Deathloop, which, funny enough, is actually made by an Xbox game studio now. Meanwhile, on Xbox, there's basically been 2 games. They had the Medium for a little bit, which was a
All
time
right,
exclusive,
my
and has now
friend.
made its way to
Damn, bro.
PlayStation.
You play
And then had
Apex,
Microsoft Flight
Warzone,
Simulator,
Rogue,
Forza Horizon 5, which
GTA
has been a very
5.
large success
Hey,
this
bro, I
past
got
week.
GTA 5, but I need to get
And
my
that's it.
PS4
In
up
their
and
events,
running
there is
so
one
we could
more
link
big
up.
release
Are you
obviously
playing
coming
on
up very
Xbox
soon with
or
Halo
PlayStation?
Infinite, and PlayStation is basically done with their own first-party major releases
Just gave
this
you a
year.
follow as
But
well,
as it
my
stands, we're
friend.
just looking at year to
Big
year
up
as
you.
far as
Yeah,
what
I'm a
each
G.
system has had. The list
Just
is
gave you a
definitely
follow.
longer on the PlayStation side. You might have your personal favorites, and Forza Horizon 5 on one side might outweigh everything you could play in the other system, but just in terms of that library size, we are seeing that trend continue. So that's all well and good from like an objective, what's been going on this past year standpoint, but really I think the big
Just
thing
gave you
that's
the
interesting is just my
follow,
own personal
Zoner, so we
experience
out.
with these 2 systems and how what they've been focusing
Hopefully you
on
start
and what each
streaming
one
soon,
does best has really shaped my experience
so
of
I can see
why
what's
I go
going
to
on,
one
because I
system
just
over
did
the
the
other.
I
I've
just
been
did
really
the
trying
damn
to think
thing,
of the best
man. I
way to
just did the
boil
damn thing.
down
Came in city, we
what I
following
love
people,
about
we
each
liking.
system, and I think the
We out
keywords
here,
that
fam.
really
We're
stand out
doing
for
it
each one
right.
is that Xbox is convenience, PlayStation
Trying to
is
get to
immersion.
our goal,
There's little
sub
exceptions
goal,
to this, but I'll explain what I mean by
5
that.
subs
Xbox in terms of
and
convenience,
donations.
there's a lot
We
of
out
stuff
here,
in terms
fam.
of how the system itself
Is there any
works that
requests?
I just
Anybody
really
want
love
some
and
music? Anybody
appreciate.
want
Obviously,
a
a big
selection
talking
of
point over the
videos?
last few years has
Who want
been
to see me do
Xbox's
some dance?
dedication to
Who want to
backwards
see some of my dance
compatibility, the
videos
fact
or
that if
see
I
my
want to, there
TikToks?
are
Just let me
certain
know.
original Xbox games or Xbox
Well,
360
maybe not
games that can pop
TikToks,
in the
but
system
we can
and
definitely
actually
watch some
play, which
YouTube
is
videos
fantastic.
because
One of the really big
I
concepts
can't.
they
I would
talked
have
about
to.
at launch was
Well, I
quick
could just use
resume,
my
and that really
my
is one of the
laptop.
things that has been a major change in how I approach and play my games. Because on Xbox, it's so easy
But
for
it'll
me
take us
to
a
pick
minute
up
to
and play
get that
one
set up.
game, jump out
So
of it,
just let
jump
me
to another
know
game, jump back
in
to
the
another one,
chat.
and resume exactly where I left off. And it's something that's so convenient that it's actually become a bit of a problem in terms of how it makes me feel about other systems. There are absolutely times where playing
Hey,
on my
Nightbot,
Switch or my
how you doing?
PlayStation, I'll just drop playing a game and swap over to another one because I'm used to just quick resume being a thing, and then realize, oh wait, I probably should double check.
All right,
and
my
actually
Nightbot
save
is
something
working.
before
I just
doing
wanted to make sure
Add on to
because
this, of course,
I
Game
got
Pass, the
everything
simplicity
working.
of just browsing this catalog of games that are always changing. Something that Sony does offer kind of an equivalent of with PlayStation Now, but it doesn't
Yeah.
really hit the same levels, especially when it comes
Oh, I
to
remember this.
older
I was
games that
watching
gain
this.
support from titles, where I can also just download them, play those on the system, rather than having to rely on stream play. Meanwhile, with PlayStation, while there are things about the overall sort of, let's say, ecosystem
And we are
of
Amazon
Xbox
affiliated,
that I
so
really enjoy,
every purchase that you
ultimately there is something
do
about
through me
the
will
gameplay
definitely
experience on
help out.
PlayStation 5 for those games that are curated for it properly that really does stand out. There are things the Xbox does the PlayStation can't do. Dolby Vision is of course a new feature. Dolby Atmos support is still something that is exclusive to Xbox and not on PlayStation. But in terms of actual unique features that really stand out right away, the DualSense controller still stands as I think one of the most important things the PS5 has to offer.
Ooh,
Back
that's
when the
cool.
system was first released, the big thing I really
Can't
ranted
wait
and
until
talked
my
a lot about,
birthday,
right, was
man.
how much I loved the DualSense functionality and
See
how
see what I
Astro's
do.
Playroom to me was one of the best kind of symbols of what the PS5 could be. And my fear at the time was, I really hope they don't drop this like certain functionalities on the DualShock 4 were dropped over time. And while certainly not every single game makes use of the DualSense to maximum effect, a lot of those titles that are exclusive to PlayStation have put that work in. When you look at games like Returnal or even with Deathloop, which again is made by an Xbox game studio that is hilarious to me, these make use of the haptics, the adaptable triggers, the built-in speaker, giving a level of interactivity and immersion in gameplay that just simply isn't possible right now with the options made available on Xbox. You know, I'll be fully honest, in terms of my sort of main approach to these systems right now, the Xbox has taken up the larger majority of my game time when it comes to just sort of regular use. A lot of third-party games that are multi-platform, I end up picking up on Xbox. It's just something about the simplicity and the convenience of Quick Resume that I end up using it a lot for that purpose. But when there are games that I know take advantage of what the PlayStation is capable of, not to mention of course just games that I can only play on PlayStation, it ends up being a much bigger selling point to me. We can talk all day about performance differences and how one version of a game might have a slightly better, more stable frame rate on one system, or what specific graphical options are handled a little better. And if that's stuff you care about, that's great. But for me personally, in terms of just looking at interesting, unique edges, I find a lot of the added functionalities that can be done with the DualSense to be a lot more interesting. Now, it's not something that's on every single game. There are a number of multi-platform titles that don't actually go out of their way to do anything interesting or special with it, but the ones that do are very interesting and compelling to me. I'm in this odd position where when it comes to recommending a system to someone, and this is something I touched on a little bit when I talked about the whole 6 months later with these systems, I find myself in a state where Personally, again, on the average day-to-day, I'm spending more time on my Xbox, but if someone says they can only buy one system right now with what is available,
Yeah.
I still feel like PS5 is the better way to go as a first option because of those exclusive library titles. Now, of course, if none of those exclusive titles really stand out to you, then yeah, I think there's a very strong argument for how I find the Xbox to be a more convenient system, but it's just tough to beat library. Now, this is something that I think can and will change over time. One of the big emphases that Xbox had at the end of the last life cycle was how many studios they were picking up. We've had a lot of games announced that don't really have super clear release dates just yet, but there is a lot of stuff coming on the way. But as far as how this first year has gone, the trend from the last generation really has continued very strongly. One of the kind of hot button topics with these systems right now too, looking at them a year later, and this is something that was brought up a lot when they were first being released, were they released maybe prematurely? Obviously, the hardware themselves were for the most part ready. There can be some argument about whether or not Sony should have waited because, expandable storage wasn't made available right away at launch. But in terms of looking at what actual software has released for these systems, is this something that ultimately could have waited a full year and would have been better for them? And honestly, I find that to be kind of a weird topic to fully work out. First off, of course, you're just trying to figure out how an alternate timeline would have worked out. But really, the main thing at the end of the day is, ultimately, these systems
And again, thank you
were
for
ready
all the
in
people that came out to the
2020. You can say that
stream
certain features might have
earlier.
been
Thanks for the
upgraded over time
follow
that should have
from
been ready right at launch, like with the
Alpaca
expandable storage.
Punch.
Ultimately, it's not as if
Zoner,
either of
thank
these
you for
systems launched and had
following as
system-wide
well.
failures
Celeste,
and problems
Daylight
that
Queen
needed to be sent
Senpai,
back in droves. If anything, right now the problem is just
Akaim,
that they can't
the
make them
Dream.
fast enough to keep up
Thank you
with the
for all
demand
of you
that's
who
been
came
going
through.
on. And sure, the software
I'm
library
sorry
has
that
not
I
necessarily
missed
been
you.
as strong
Missed you.
as some past generations
Alpaca
have, but it really
Punch.
isn't
I swear
quite as weak as I think some
I didn't
people
mean
have
to.
been making it out to be. Yes, there are a
So
lot
guys,
of
just
games
to let you know,
cross-generation, but
there
that's
will be
also
an
because
ad
there's
in
sort of an
next 5
easier
minutes.
level of cross-generation going on
So
with
we
these
will be
systems
taking a
than
break,
was possible back
and
with
then
the
we
360 to Xbox
shall be
One
back
and
right
PS3 to
after. All
PS4
right.
shift. And ultimately, there have been
So,
quite a few games that have been released that, yeah, are supported
no
on older
problem.
systems,
Just
but
just
ultimately
giving you
are
guys some
running and looking
notice
their
to know
best
that
on these new
there'll
generations
be
to an extent that if you spent the money
one
to
in a
upgrade
few.
as soon as you did with the launch, in my mind at least, does feel worth it. It's not as if by buying it last year and playing a game 2 years from now, you wasted time. Now, of course, if we get some kind of pro system reveal in the next year or two, that's a different conversation. But as things stand right now, I don't think I can fully agree with the concept of saying that the releases were premature. I understand the reasoning and logic, and I get what people are saying, but ultimately, the systems, the hardware that we received, works. Ultimately, I've really been enjoying my time with this generation of systems, and I think more so than any other, I don't actually feel that hard of a favoritism for either one. There are things individually that they do better, but at the end of the day, they both accomplish the main goal of just being really fun to play on. It's honestly, I think, a great environment for just anyone who enjoys gaming, and grabbing either of these systems, I think, ultimately is going to be something that is going to be fulfilling and fun for people, as long as you pay attention, again, what each one has its own little individual strengths on. And with what we're seeing accomplished in this first year as far as, cross-generation titles and early successful games go, I am even more excited to see how the next few years are going to turn out. So those are my thoughts after 1 year with both these systems. If you guys have picked up either of these, if you have both, or you've just been looking into them, let me know what you think down below in the comments. What have you been really enjoying with your experiences with them? Do you want to grab both? Is there one that you just have a very clear favoritism for? Let me know.
Nah,
As always, if you enjoyed
favorite.
this video, make sure to like it, subscribe if you haven't yet. I will see you guys later.
All right, no problem. Alright guys, so everything has been updated. We doing the damn thing.
Xbox has just dropped a new update for the Xbox Series systems and the Xbox One systems. And
Let's just watch one more. After this, we'll just get ourselves ready to go into the next game, you know?
And I'm sure some of you are hearing that concept and immediately thinking, why?
Alright, let's go.
Now, if you have no idea what that whole sentence even meant, xCloud is part of the Game Pass Ultimate system where, as part of a member, you can stream play games to a number of different devices. Originally, this was heavily pushed as something you could do on your mobile phone. It was an Android thing. It came to iPhone. They opened it up to other things like being able to use it in browser and on PC. And now you can use this service on your Xbox. Instead of launching it as its own individual app, the way it actually works is that if you see any games under the Game Pass header that have this little tiny cloud icon, that means when you select them, you have the option to either install and play them like you would a regular Game Pass game, or you can play them remotely using streaming. Now, some of the uses for this are admittedly pretty limited, especially if you have a more up-to-date system. If you own an Xbox Series X, the reasons to use it are maybe not quite as obvious. Honestly, I would say the biggest benefit of this is the ability to test out and try a game before having to deal with waiting for them to install. For instance, one of the main big games right now that has come out for the Xbox Series X is Forza Horizon 5, which is a over 100 gigabyte game. And if you're curious to try it out to see if you even might like it because you're not sure how you feel about racing games, waiting for an over 100 gigabyte install takes a lot of time. And so the option to just jump into Streamplay right away to try it out
Takes a
is
while.
really handy. Where this is much more interesting, though, is for people who do not have current gen systems and have access to an Xbox One, whether that is the One X, One S, or even the original one. And to really get a sense for how this can be a very useful feature on older systems, what I did was take a look at some major first-party Xbox games and play them using 3 different methods. Natively on the original Xbox One, the oldest hardware that can still play these games, playing them using xCloud on the original Xbox One, and then also playing them on the latest, most powerful console version available with the Series X. Something important to keep in mind with all of this is, of course, when it comes to playing games using streaming technology, a very large factor in this is the internet you are using. Depending on how strong your internet at home is, this could either be a very useful and interesting cool service or an absolutely horrid experience. And in my own case, using it here at the office, we do have very fast internet. Running the connection test on the Xbox One itself actually showed that it was getting around 800 up and 800
Thank you,
down.
my friend.
Obviously not the situation that everyone finds themselves in, but it does give you an idea of how in ideal conditions this can work. In general, regardless of what internet you have at home, I do highly recommend that when trying this yourself, have your system hardwired in. You can play over Wi-Fi if you want, but generally that's just never going to be as secure and as good of an experience as a hardline connection is going to be. Of the different tests that we ran, the first main comparison I really want to take a look at is running a game natively on the original Xbox One, again, the oldest hardware currently available for a lot of these titles, compared to playing them using xCloud on the same system. Now, if you're not entirely familiar with how xCloud works, basically you are remotely playing on Xbox's own servers that are running the Xbox Series X versions of titles. So if the Series X version offers things like 60 FPS or certain visual enhancements, those are things that are active in the Streamplay version. You're not always going to make full advantage of all these things because of the fact that you are, of course, playing it remotely, but you should be getting at least the best experience possible playing over this kind of connection. And in this particular game that I really focused on, Forza Horizon 5, there are 2 things that very heavily stood out right away: loading times and frame rate. Playing Forza Horizon 5 on the original Xbox One does not offer any kind of graphical option mode. You can't choose performance or quality. It is just one option that is 1080p.
Let's go,
30 frames,
fam.
or at least struggling to
Yo,
hit 30
Zoner
frames.
just keeps getting me hyped
And
when
it's
I think
overall an
about that
experience
he's
just
hosting
does
us,
not
man.
look
It's
quite
crazy.
as clean or beautiful as it is on modern systems. On top of this fact, because the original Xbox One is still relying on a traditional hard drive as opposed to the SSDs that were added to the Series X and Series S, load times are noticeably very long. Booting up the game initially takes quite a bit of time, and if you're driving a lot on the overworld map, you can actually encounter situations where everything just freezes up for a slight moment because the system needs to actually load the area you're driving into and it wasn't ready yet. By comparison, using xCloud on the Xbox One, there are a lot of differences to note right away. Now, because the xCloud version of the game is based on the Xbox Series X version, you do get the option to go between performance and quality here, but basically you should just be playing in performance mode. The reason being is that using xCloud, right now at least, the service is topped off at 1080p 60 FPS. You cannot do over a 1080p resolution gameplay stream, even though it's running on a system that can do that higher. In order to ensure that the service is running smoothly and you can benefit from things like higher frame rates, it is putting a cap on what kind of resolution it's going to be pushing out. So yes, you could play the game on xCloud in quality mode, but even though over wherever you're playing it, it's internally rendering out as 4K, the actual signal being sent to you is still going to end up only being 1080p. And you can really see this when looking at the quality mode on the xCloud versus just playing it natively on the Xbox One. Now, when you jump over to the performance mode though on xCloud, this is where things get very differently. Yes, you're still capped at 1080p. In exchange, you're getting a very smooth 60 FPS, and in my experience, one that is actually very reactive. yes, it is not identical to playing the game natively. You are going to have a little less input lag and more responsiveness not playing over the internet. But the kind of input lag I was experiencing was honestly not very noticeable. I mean, I have had experiences playing on TVs natively that use a lot of post-processing techniques that create input lag that were worse experiences than using game mode on a TV right now with xCloud. One thing that I do think is important to note about all of this, though, is that while you are getting a 1080p resolution image most of the time, that doesn't mean that it's going to look the same as a game running natively at 1080p, and a large part of that is compression. The signal being sent to your system is just never going to be as perfectly clean and smooth as something that's being played natively in the system, partially because it is making that compression and sacrifice to make sure that it can actually keep up with keeping the game stream going to your system. And so, even though it's at 1080p, you'll notice that it looks a little cloudier, a little fuzzier. There's just a lot of compression artifacting going on that just makes for not as clear of an image as 1080p could be. It's not exactly the same as seeing something at a lower resolution, but it does have that same kind of effect where things are just not going to have the same degree of crispness as you might assume. Add on to this the fact that, again, this is the Series X version of the game that relies on an SSD. Load times playing the game on xCloud are far better than playing them natively on the Xbox One. You are getting into the game much faster, races load up a lot quicker. I think one of the best examples of this actually is that when you load up a race in Forza Horizon 5, there's usually just kind of a little warm-up time where you see your car on display and your character's kind of dancing around. And on xCloud, that goes by pretty quickly, and that's the experience I'm used to playing it on Series X. Whereas compared to playing it on the Xbox One, because it takes so long to load up the race, it's actually almost
I'm just digging it. I'm digging this.
Just seeing your character dance around as long as they are as you're waiting for the race to start. Now, the other comparison that's interesting to me is looking at playing games on xCloud using this hardware from 2013 compares to the native experience of playing them on an Xbox Series X. And obviously, playing games natively on the Series X is the better experience. But it's the distance between them that is interesting to me. Again, with xCloud, you are limited to 1080p resolution, but you are also still able to get up to 60 FPS for those games that support it. And so when you're looking at something like, say, again, Forza Horizon 5 in performance mode, the 60 FPS that you're getting in xCloud looks basically just as smooth as it does on the Series X, aside from the occasional hiccup that might happen due to your internet connection. Yes, there is an absolute difference in resolution because the Series X version of the game runs at higher than 1080p in performance mode, and not to mention it's native, so it's not having all those compression artifacts and everything happening at the same time. But in terms of how playable the experience is, they're very comparable. Messing around with all of this really leaves me with two interesting thoughts about the service being added to consoles. One having to do with the past and one with the future. In terms of the past, I think there's a little bit of an argument to be made for more people to either hold on to their older Xbox Ones and not upgrade immediately if they're not able to spend the money on it just yet, or maybe even an argument to be made for saving some money and just hunting down an old Xbox One as opposed to trying to buy a brand new Series X. Obviously, if your goal is to have one system be your mainline system that you're playing all major third-party releases on, that's a slightly different scenario. But if you, say, for instance, already own a PS5 and you want to grab an Xbox just to play Xbox exclusives like Forza Horizon 5 or Halo Infinite coming out very soon, the ability to play some of these over stream play is really compelling. Now, of course, again, to stream play games using xCloud, they have to be games that are available on Game Pass, but as of right now, Microsoft has been very dedicated to making sure that their first-party exclusives are available on Game Pass right away. Forza Horizon 5 is on there right now, the Halo Infinite campaign is planned to be added once it is released in December, and Halo Infinite Beta for multiplayer is playable right now as well. Again, the quality of internet connection does play a very large role in this, and as of right now, playing games natively is still going to be the absolute best way to go. But how viable this option is right now is honestly really impressive to me. And that's where the future comes in, because this is something that I've been talking about ever since Microsoft first started talking about xCloud for Xbox, in that I really wonder what the possibility is of us seeing within the next year or two a dedicated streaming Xbox console. Whether that's called the Series C or the Series
Urban
Zero,
Dragon.
I don't know, whatever call you want to call it.
I didn't even realize what was going on, man. I didn't even see that you even replied to me, man. I'm so sorry, man.
Option with the Series X, and then a cheaper option that comes bundled with a controller that's just a little stick you plug into your TV and lets you use xCloud to play games remotely that way. Something that's been talked about time and time again over the last couple years is that when it comes to Microsoft's strategy to Xbox, it really is a lot more about the services and ecosystem than it is the actual hardware. Sure, they want people to buy Series X and S's, but that isn't necessarily the end goal. If they can get you just to buy Game Pass and play on PC, that's still a win for them. And so while yes, there are convenient ways of accessing xCloud using a system you may already own, using a PC if you have one, playing on your phone, the idea of an affordable gateway option that gets you into Game Pass right away, that plugs into your TV, is something that's really interesting to me. And it would not have made sense at all to try and launch this 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, we already saw multiple streaming services try to take off in 2019 with varying degrees of success, mostly non-success. But seeing where xCloud is going right now and the kind of performance that is currently possible, I'm really curious if we're going to see more companies take another stab at this, and whether or not Xbox can really lead the charge with the kind of proven quality we're seeing so far. So those are just some thoughts I had about xCloud after playing it on the original Xbox One and the Series X. If you guys have tried it out for yourself, let me know down below in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed this video, give that like button if you want, or don't. I'm not even sure if it matters anymore with how that stuff's disappeared. But even more importantly, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe as well, and I will see you guys later. I've had some time now to mess around with both the Xbox Series S and Series X, and in the time that I've been able to play with both these systems, I actually have found myself slightly changing my opinion on whether or not you should buy which version of the system. When the Series S was first revealed, I very much had this reaction of, oh, this is the obvious choice for a lot of people out there. It's so much cheaper, it's still offering very similar performance for a lot of games outside of resolution. This is really the way a lot of people should go. But now that I've had more time with both of them, I'm kind of tilting a little bit away from that. But let's break down what's different about these two systems and why I think that.
Playing some Pokemon in the Discord.
So the first thing I want to take a look at is the physical design differences between these two systems, and how ultimately I think this is one of the main areas where the Series S pulls out a major win. Not just in terms of visuals, I think that is a little bit more of a subjective thing. Some people are going to really like the black monolithic tower look of the Series X, other people are going to like the color clashing and smaller design of the Series S. Which is the camp I fall under. I think this is a better looking system as far as the two go, especially because I like having my system sideways, where this definitely looks better. However, there are also some very functional reasons why the Series S is a better choice for some people. And this really comes down to a combination of not necessarily just the fact that the system is smaller, but also how it is smaller and where the vent placement for the system is. If you currently own an Xbox One S or One X and you're thinking of upgrading to an Xbox Series system, the S is going to be able to very easily slot in and out of wherever you currently have your Xbox One set up. Because again, this is the smallest Xbox system ever made, and the placement of the vent allows it to be in a sideways fashion and have plenty of room to breathe. And if you like the idea of having the Series S in tower mode, well, what's really interesting about it is that one way you can have it set up is that instead of having the Xbox logo facing forward with an USB-A available, you can instead have the vent forward, which is how they've really shown it in a lot of promotional images. And what's cool about that is that, well, no matter what kind of setup you have, the front is normally the least obstructed area because you can see the system clearly, and so that's giving the vent a nice place to exit all that heat. By comparison, the Series X is something that I found myself actually needing to double check and think about every now and then with how I want to set it up. Not just because it's a larger system, but because of how it is larger and where the vent is placed, specifically on the top of the tower or on the far side if you have it laying sideways. The fact of the matter is that if you rely on any kind of traditional TV console setup, if you're using a, let's call them cubbies, I guess, a little slot to place your console down, there's a good chance that unless it's a very large cubby space, you're going to end up blocking the vent on the system in one form or another. If not necessarily having it right up against a solid wall, not having nearly as much space as I think it should be given in order to make sure it breathes. Now, this isn't that hard of a problem to fix. You just put it on the top shelf. You put it on somewhere where it's not going to be obstructed. It's not that large of a deal, but at the end of the day, that does somewhat restrict and limit how it can be incorporated into a setup versus the Series S, which very easily sets itself up into basically anything. Now, the big marketing push for the Series S is that in concept, it should offer the same kind of performance as the Series X, with the specific exception of not doing 4K gameplay. Games should be running at the same or very similar frame rates. They should be having the same graphical effects. It's just whether or not you want 4K support. Now, for some of you out there, the debate between 4K and 1080p is a pretty easy one. You may have already had a 4K console and you don't want to go back, or you have a 4K TV and you know you want to take full advantage of it. That's great. But there are a lot of people who never used a 0.5 system and are wondering how noticeable the difference is. And the honest truth is, honestly, I think it's a little overhyped. Yes, there is a clear difference between 4K and 1080p visuals. However, depending on not only the quality of your TV, but the size of your TV and how far away you sit from it, you might not be able to fully appreciate these differences. There's actually a lot of great charts and studies you can find out there that show the kind of optimal distance to sit from a television based on the resolution and size of your screen. And if you happen to have a very large TV that you don't sit that very far away from, then yes, a 4K system is going to look leagues better than what you're seeing on a 1080p screen.
I don't know why I keep saying that.
However, for a lot of people, if you're working with a smaller screen or you're sitting very far away from it, in a lot of cases, what your eyes are capable of perceiving in a 1080p image versus a 4K image isn't quite what a lot of people make it out to be. Again, this isn't to say that 4K isn't better than 1080p. It is. It does have a crisper image, and with the right setup, you can absolutely take advantage of this. I merely want to point out that for some people, especially depending on what kind of TV setup you have, you might not necessarily find it worth spending the extra $200 to get 4K performance, when at the end of the day, 1080 is going to look very similar to you. Now, of course, this also hinges on the concept of these systems being identical outside of that difference in resolution, when it turns out, well, not entirely. The situation's a little more complex than that. I think when it comes to first-party games from Microsoft, absolutely that is a mandate they are trying to maintain, that performance-wise, these two systems should be the same. And in my own personal experience, that has been how a lot of it has worked out. I have tried out different games on both the Series S and Series X, Forza Horizon 4,
give me a moment, I'll
Gears
still be
5,
back.
and ultimately the experience did feel and look very much the same aside from the difference in resolution. However, we do already know for a fact that there are games coming from third-party companies which are going to have graphical effects supported on one version of the system and not the other. A large example of this being Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition will support ray tracing on the Series X and not on the Series S. So what does this ultimately mean? Well, if you buy a Series S, games at the end of the day should still perform just as smoothly and cleanly as they do on a Series X while being at that lower resolution. But when it comes to third-party companies, there might be the occasional sacrifice of certain visual options in order to make sure that games run smoothly and it's not going to be maintained across both versions of the system. So if you absolutely always want to have the best looking version of a game, not just in terms of resolution, but graphical effects, well, it looks like you might have to go out of your way to make sure you grab a Series X in order to get that kind of performance. It's also worth noting that as far as being used as a multimedia device goes, the Series S offers everything the Series X does. They both support 4K playback for media, they both support HDR, they both support Dolby Vision. As far as using these as multimedia systems go, not just talking about gaming specifically, ultimately they are going to offer you the same thing there. So if you care about 4K content for movies,